War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. Always heavy on the sports here, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We appreciate you spending any amount of time with us, even if it's just for 1 second, just one measly second, just to see what we're all about. And then you see me and you're like, I'm out of here. Anyway, regardless of how you get here, how often you're here, or how long you stay here, we appreciate you being here. On tonight's live stream, the main topic of discussion is going to be the Auburn versus Georgia State. Not Georgia, Georgia State. I've caught myself a couple times already this week doing that. Georgia State matchup. And we want to hear from you tonight on what's on your mind, obviously, for this game and anything surrounding it, leading up to predictions, all that kind of stuff is fair game to discuss tonight. I know some of y'all still haven't put the Penn State thing to bed. We can talk about that a little bit as it relates to Georgia State if you want, but I do think that now you've had two live streams, a reaction after the game show. You've had a, our breakdown in grades. If you haven't watched that, go back and check those out. Pretty fun discussions there. But it is time to move the page forward and start focusing on Georgia State, as Coach Harsin wanted us to do anyway. So that's what's on the table for tonight. Also, the headphones are on. If you want to call in, you have the option to. It's not exclusive to the Booster Club members tonight. It is wide open. I have posted it there in the chat for you at the very top. It should be pinned up there if you want to take advantage of that. You can call in. It's or hit the link and it calls in. You don't have to be on camera, but you can be if you'd like. It's always fun to see a familiar face. Some of you called in before. But I'll put it up there a couple different times if you guys want to take advantage of it. Other thing that you can do for me, and we'll talk more about these things throughout the show, ways that you help support the show are in the description. But the big thing that you can do for me right now, smash that like button. Let a friend know that we're live. Invite them over, share it in a Facebook group. Let's get the Auburn family in here together to hang out and talk about this week and what's on your mind for Auburn football. John Stokes in the house. Good to see you, my friend. He is a Booster Club member and a channel member. Thank you for your support as always, sir. So as you come in as well, make sure you post city, state, War Eagle. I just want to know where you're from and who's all here tonight. Don't be shy. Georgia State, it is homecoming week. Really, that's honestly the big story, unfortunately. I hate to say this is one of those weeks where you're really just kind of wanting it to get done, but at least it's got homecoming involved in it, right? It's got to be some appeal to it. I know we're on a little bit of a lull right now because we had that incredible march and high of Penn State week, and then now the loss and everything after that. I wonder where we would be at this week if we had won the game. Would it have been just such a high that we still would be on such a low at this point? But if it's like Tuesday rolled around and then everybody in the Auburn family, especially on social media, was just dead. And it was kind of sad. There's still plenty of games to be played, and you better be ready for this one because according to Harsin, this is a formidable team. Well, WDE, Corey says. Good to see you, Corey. Thanks for being here. Always good to see familiar faces here. Stereotypical Auburn fan says, me trying to figure out which games I'm going to next year. It's always funny, and most people are joking when they say this, but you get the guys on social, like I posted here's the schedule for next week. I'm just worried about this year. We all know that you're worried about this year, and I'm worried about this year too, but we can talk about the other thing too. Obviously, we won't talk a lot about that tonight. By the way, if you have not, did a video. Well, it dropped this morning, did it last night, but it dropped this morning. Go check it out. Leave a comment. My initial thoughts about the schedule. Some interesting things that I kind of just initially reacted to and talked about as I was looking over that schedule. Would love to hear your impressions of it over on that video. It should be right before this live stream and the whole feed thing. Neil says, I'm not too disappointed about where Auburn is at right now. I think that's a fair place to be. I think you should be disappointed in some areas. We talked about that a lot on the Penn State reaction and breakdown and grade show. But at the same time, you got to be able to look at things in context, where we're at, what's going on, transitions and all that. And it's really not a bad place to be. You're 2-1. You've lost to a top 10 team now, almost top 5 team. I think they're 6 now. And you haven't had an SEC loss. The SEC looks pretty not open, but attainable in terms of like Alabama. We saw they had a few, mishaps against a good opponent, and they seem mortal. Everybody else has had kind of shown moments of weakness. So if you're looking at the SEC, if you're looking at college football, there's not really a team. Ohio State has struggled. Oklahoma has struggled. Trying to think of, I think everybody so far this year has shown they've got some deficiencies. Even Penn State probably could have had a case to run away with it, and they didn't. So that says something about them. Stereotypical Auburn fan. Feel like losing this game could be good in the long run. It sucks now, but I would rather our holes be shown in non-conference play rather than us getting exposed by an SEC team. Yeah, I think, if you got exposed by the right SEC team like Georgia, where it's not your divisional, competition, because that really matters the most in season. But yes, your point stands. Having it happen, non-conference, good opponent. The reflection of where Auburn is as a program now is in their ranking this week. We were all thinking that we were going to be unranked, right? Most of us. I was sitting there predicting on the reaction show, we're not going to be in the top 25. It'll probably take us 2 games. Hopefully a win at LSU would push us back in the top 25. We're 23 in both polls. You can't ask for much. That shows you the respect that everybody has for this program right now. Kind of what I was saying there. Yeah, not too bad whatsoever. All right. Again, we can bounce back a little bit in terms of some things from Penn State. I know that this is not the game that's got everybody jazzed up right now, but I do want us to talk about it and talk about this week. And I'll talk a little bit remind you in a little while of my schedule for this weekend, because I will be on campus, barring unforeseen circumstances. I'm excited. It's going to be fun. How about this incredible weather? If most of y'all can see this, usually I have the fan going in the background because it's so hot up here. It's going to be fall tonight, y'all. It's really going to be good. And Saturday, I think the last time I checked, Saturday in Auburn was going to be a low of like 53 in the morning and a high of like 78, 79 that day. If you can get to Auburn's campus, you need to. It's going to be fun. Like, even if you can't go to the game, just come enjoy the atmosphere. It's going to be a fun day. I'm really looking forward to it. It's almost going to be like a replenishing of the soul after, and that's a little bit extreme, but you kind of get what I'm saying there. After the loss, to come back home to a game that you should win, homecoming win, great weather, great atmosphere. It's what every Auburn fan needs. Neil's asking, is Papo hurt? Now, based off of the press conference, this is the last time I've really looked into it, and I haven't really had anybody reach out to me and share any other information. Papo got hurt in the last game, and Coach Harsin said it wasn't too bad and that they were going to reassess on Tuesday. I haven't heard anything. What he said in his press conference is that they would reassess to see how many reps he could get, which tells you that he can get some reps. So what I'm interpreting, this is just speculation. It's okay to speculate as long as you admit that you're speculating. He will play this week, probably limited though, just enough to kind of keep him on pace with everything, get him going, all that kind of stuff. Cam says he thinks he sits out, and that may be the case, and it may be the best possible scenario, just to sit him out for this game. But I think if he's healthy enough, you should get him in there, stretch it out a little bit, make him feel better. It'll hurt the next day, I'm sure, because I think it was an ankle injury, or I know it was a leg injury. I think it'll help in the long run. I noticed the last couple of years we were respected for our strength of schedule in the polls. Yeah, so that's the good thing about playing harder schedules. Typically, they give you the respect of not dropping you so far in the rankings if you take a loss. Now, if they're stacked upon losses, then you're kind of like, well, they're not putting together consistency. So that's going to affect that a little bit. Felix is in the house, and he's changed his avatar name. Felix the cat, 2227 or 227. It's going to throw me off a little bit, but I'll make do with it. Good to see you. A channel member and a Booster Club member. Thank you, sir, for your support. Was supposed to be at the AUGS game this weekend. Sister graduated from GA State. Oh, cool. And had a medical emergency. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but I hope everything's okay. Hopefully it is, and you guys can kind of celebrate from afar. It would have been a great game to be at, but obviously family comes first. Yeah, one of the things that I really want to do is meet some of you guys in person on campus. If you see me on campus, don't be shy. I'm probably going to post a time where I'll be probably at Toomer's Corner area, the lawn across from J&M Bookstore. If anyone wants to stop by, or we'll figure something out. Would love to meet some of y'all in person. Unbeaten Lake says we should do the blue out and pull out the blue helmets. No. For those of you that have been on some of the shows with me and Clint Richardson, we actually just did the live stream on Sunday about the white face mask, and you guys know how opposed I am to big changes. That was enough. That was good for me. That was good for me. I kind of want us to excuse me. Let me slow down. I don't want us to do something gimmicky, because to show them we don't need that, and we're still as good as your whiteout. That's just me, but I get the appeal of it. Cam says a close friend says he's been in a boot on campus. Well, that obviously is not a good sign in terms of him playing this week, but it's not like we have to have him playing this week. Listen, if the injury is serious enough, obviously I don't want him to go out there and tweak it when he doesn't need to. But I also think there's some value from getting out there on the field against a team where you probably don't have to be out there so long in Georgia State. No uni changes, Dusty said, just flat out. Hey, listen, I'm fine with some. This white face mask was fine. It was okay. It was really okay. And of course, goes without saying, but Corey brings up prayers for Neil's dad on that. All right. Again, reminders. Smash that like button if you haven't. Let some people know that we are here live tonight. You can call in if you would like to. I have posted it and pinned it at the very top of the chat window. But you could also call in, or you could also use the link that I'm posting right now. Just click it. You can be live, just audio, or you can be on camera as well. Rise Life is here. Whoops. Everybody I go to click. We got so many comments coming in, and then I miss it. What about the orange out with orange jerseys? Oh, no. We don't need gimmicks. We need to show Penn State that. See, that's the biggest thing, and that was their biggest argument this week, is like, you've never experienced anything like this. We'll come to Auburn and show you we don't need it. That's just my opinion, but I get the appeal of it. Graduated from AU in the 70s. Biggest AU fan in my life. Well, I think I can give him a run for his money. But hey, he does have the years on me. I did miss some screens because I was upset of the win. Not understanding that one. Oh, missed some streams. Gotcha, Rise Life. Streams. I'm following you now. All right, so here, let me just give you a quick preview of what ESPN says, and I've got it pulled up on my other little monitor over here. It's old, so it takes some time. ESPN has us at a 97.2% chance of winning. I'm honestly shocked it's not 99. But, remember Coach Harsin said in his press conference this week, if you watch that, and I did a video breaking down the thoughts that he shared and some of the questions he was asked, if you don't want to go watch the full thing, but I encourage you to go do that if you can and have the time to. He said that, these guys aren't going to be a pushover. And, some of that's coach speak, right? That's what you're supposed to say. But at the same time, Auburn should beat this team. And, it's reflected in that 97.2% chance of winning the game. But they've got more chance than Alabama State did and Akron did. So let that sit in your mind as you're thinking about your score predictions. That will come up later here in a little bit. We'll talk about, and you guys remember like last week, your commentary along with us talking through it. This is like a workshop for me more than anything else. You're helping me come up with my official prediction and score prediction for the Auburn Georgia State game. C. Brown the fourth. I don't have his full name, but Brown the fourth as their quarterback. And he is, let's see, 24 of 46. So just over half, 50% completion percentage, 197 yards. That's it. Is that the last game? No, that's his total. So I wonder if they either had a quarterback change or they just don't throw that much, or he's just that bad. 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, apparently, as compared to Bo's 50 of 76. Pretty good percentage for the most part. 568 yards and 5 touchdowns so far this year. Their running back, best running back, 28 carries, 141 yards, and 1 touchdown. So, I mean, you can already see the clear differential between quarterback and running back there between Auburn. I mean, we don't even have to say tank. I mean, I will just for fun. 47 carries, 343 yards, 4 touchdowns already on 3 games. 3 games. Think about it there for a second. Let's see. I think he's just going with the 1-0 mentality. They're really bad. Yeah, and I mean, that's 1-0 mentality, that little mantra that he has, it's coach speak, right? It is, but it's at the same time, it's a nice little slogan. It's catching on. I at first was kind of like, don't really love it, but it's catching on. It's growing on me as time goes on. I have to admit that. It's a little bit different than what most coaches will say. And if you've been to Tiger Walk already this season, you've seen that they have it hanging below the banner. When I went to the first Tiger Walk against Akron, I was like, are they already calling 1-0 on the week? And I forgot that that's the mentality, and they have it below every game now. So yeah, that was cleared up. How do you think of, or what do you think of the easy Bama schedule? I mean, it's just not surprising. My prediction for Georgia State is I can't count that high, Corey says. Corey, I don't know that it's going to be that high. I guess I said that against even Alabama State, but I was wrong, and we shut them out 63, 62 to something, 62 to nothing, something like that. But I get the feeling that Georgia State's going to be able to put up some points simply because I think we're going to probably get some more people rotating in, trying to figure out who really is our best option, because we had some things exposed against Penn State. Maybe some of the personnel needs to be changed around, and this is the time to figure it out. So that could deal with some confusing situations and things like that. Neil, yeah, we kind of said this on the other live streams with Bo. I think, it's really interesting. Depending on who you talk to, and there's usually a correlation with some other opinions people usually have with this. I've either heard Bo did great, and considering, and usually the caveat is considering the environment. Obviously, at home, you would hope they would do better. But then I've also heard he did terrible. And while I'm not going to sit here and say Bo was lights out, it was terrible. It's actually part of the reason we were still in the game. He got us in the position to have one more shot at it, despite all the stupid mistakes that we had made and bad luck that we had go our way. So it's just interesting to hear people's opinions sometime. All right, Neil wants to go ahead and get it started. I'm going to reserve, and I'm asked. We'll do an official. I'll do an official ask for your scores towards the end of the live stream here. But we already got people wanting to kind of share a little bit of their predictions. You can see some of them there. Yeah, we've talked a lot, Casey, about the refs. Probably not going to go much further into that because, I mean, there's no point at this point. It's negligible. Penn State and Auburn did kind of get the raw end of the deal with it happening at the end. It is what it is. It evened out, kind of. I like the suit attire for games now business that you're talking about, them walking out. Yeah, that under Coach Malzahn was the captain's decision. So I don't know if that's how Coach Harsin does it, if he let the play, or he just said, hey, business attire. I get the feeling that it's probably a captain's decision still. Secondary needs work. Yes, that is probably where you'll see some rotations in against this Georgia State team, really trying to figure out who is the best option for us, because clearly we need some work there or some help there. Corey says, I hope we use this game to work on the pass rush. It's a great point, Corey, but we're always working on the pass rush, but what are you really going to be able to work on in this, as opposed to maybe some different techniques, maybe some different, pass rushes and things like that. The other flip side of it is you don't want to reveal too much, even fourth game of the season. We haven't even played a down of SEC play yet. That's the next week. That's going to be a fun week too when we get to it. But at the same time, what can there's always stuff you can work on. But how much of a difference is it going to make for the games that really, really matter? Not that every game doesn't matter. Georgia State matters, but not to the level that the SEC play. Penn State didn't matter as much as the SEC play. I'll say that loud and clear. And that's not me just being sour grapes because we lost. It never mattered more than the SEC games. You can't wait for the running game, but the 22 schedule, man. Yeah. Still can't get over the drop ball. Well, get used to it because it's probably going to happen a little bit more this year. Auburn needs this game to clean up. Yeah, I agree. But, again, my kind of question is still, what can, you can clean up all you want against an inferior opponent, but the real cleanup comes against a quality, I'm trying to be careful here, against a more formidable opponent, such as an LSU. Now, LSU doesn't look all that great. It's still going to be LSU in a really late night game where they're going to be real drunk. And I'm real drunk. Rise Live doesn't understand why we're still at 23. It's the respect of what we did on the road in that environment, and because we showed that we probably, in some cases, should have won the game. Tank Hunter, is that how we're combining them now? Needs to run 50 times a game if we want to win more games. Casey, again, the master of hyperbole. No. If you run even a combination of 50 you are way, way overrunning your running backs. I think, I'd like to see Tank running about 22, 23, maybe max, because I think that's all it's going to take. With Hunter getting, somewhere between 10 and 15, I think that would be a quality spread there. Also, the question is anybody else, and if anybody else has heard, please share, is Sean Shivers going to be back this week? The rumor is, and the speculation, again, no confirmation here on my end that it was COVID related. If that's the case, it would kind of logically play out that he would be back this week. All right. Again, I'm just reminding you guys, the link is in the top of the chat. You don't have to take advantage of it, but the headphones are on. You can click /call in if you would like to. It's available for you at the top, and I posted it again. Casey thinks we're the best team in the West. Don't know how you see that with Alabama. LSU, yes, doesn't look that great. Texas A&M still haven't really had a chance to really show how good they are, but I'm betting they're probably still a step ahead of us at this point. But yes, we can beat Alabama at home. If there's ever a place that we can beat Alabama, it's definitely at home. You hope to see more press man coverage this week. So let me, and I'm not pushing back on you specifically, Dusty, but I've heard this a lot this week. And even Coach acknowledged this in his press conference. You have to run some zone, okay? You have to run both things. And everybody seemed to it seemed like it was the buzzword. Someone posted it, someone noticed it, and then everybody jumped on it. Oh, we didn't run enough man. If it was that simple, they would have done it. These guys are the highest paid coaches in the world. Just because we see something on a TV doesn't mean it's actually the thing that would have worked. And I'm not trying to discredit that and say that doesn't need to happen a little bit more in this game. I would argue the other point. I would argue that zone coverage was so bad, we need to work on that against Georgia State to a fault almost. And this is and Dusty's kind of made my point just in a different way there. Throw the ball 40 times and really try to get the passing game going. So that I would agree with Dusty here that whatever didn't work in the last game, go out there and do that more. Let go Tank, go get his yards, get him out of there before he gets hurt. And then let Jarquez, hopefully Sean, get some time that he's been missing. But let Bo sling that ball around. Let him and the wide receivers work on their timing. It really does need to happen. Felix, yeah, I don't know if you missed that. I will be at the game. I will be on campus all day doing my normal stuff, sharing things on social media. And we'll wait a few more minutes and I'll give you we'll take a short, not a break, but from our discussions, I'll give you my full planned schedule for the weekend. Where I'll be and when I'll be and all that kind of stuff, kind of the tentative schedule. But yes, I will be there on campus and I will be at the game, actually. Excited about it. I need to see where my tickets are. Might even have an extra ticket. Did I say that? Penn State's playing Hartford, but yeah. Oh, there's Tyler. Good to see you. Anyway, Kyle probably run. I'd probably run the MAC. Tyler plays Call of Duty with me a lot, so yeah. I mean, if I'm Coach Harsin, I'm putting Shivers at the bottom of the depth chart. I think you're just trying to get my goat there. Shivers returned Tuesday, and Harsin said he brought a whole lot of energy that he was. I mean, Shivers is like a freaking little ball of energy. That's all he is. I mean, it's like he encapsulates it within himself and just explodes it on someone's head and knocks their helmet off every time, even if it's his own player. A couple more people confirming that about Sean Shivers. Yeah, Felix, would love to see you. Love to meet you in person. If we played man-to-man all the time, though, we would get beat deep. I'd rather have it kept in front of them so they can get to easy tackle. So all things, but especially defense, it's a chess game. You can only prepare as best as you can and hope that what you prepared for was the right decision. You know, a lot of that comes with time, expertise, understanding who your personnel, their personnel, but you have to be able to do both. Clearly, we need to work on the zone coverage, so I'd rather us work against Georgia State on that. Destroyer of helmets. Yes, that is very, very true. What did my face look like after the hurdle? I said, okay. I looked at Jessica, my wife. I was like, did that just happen? All right. A little bit more about Georgia State. As I said, their quarterback and running back doesn't look super impressive especially when you compare that to Tank and Bo. Their best receiver, Thrash, 11 receptions, 167 yards, 1 touchdown. Our best one, well, and this is comparative, Kobe Hudson, 8 receptions, 121 yards, and 1 touchdown. So it's pretty even there, but we've all admitted that wide receivers needs a little bit of work. Just a little bit of work. Okay, let's see. I want to see Harsin go ballistic on the sideline, Saban and Muschamp. So I think Auburn has been missing that kind of coaching for a long time. I get that. And, football is a very, physical, just over-the-top sport. But that doesn't mean that that's successful. If that was the case, Muschamp would still be a head coach. Saban brings a lot more to the table than that. He is an old, crotchety man. And just because Auburn's been missing that doesn't mean that was the missing link. It is in some ways, a refreshing change to see that type of thing again, because it evokes things like Pat Dye. And I think that's something that, especially with his passing, people are really wanting to see. So I can understand the appeal there. Okay, so I say running back lineup 4 and 27. Well, I mean, you're going to get a lot of that, but he's got to get out there and get some reps. Oh yes, great point, Neil. Thank you for reminding me. And Coach Harsin in his press conference this week, the funny thing was he basically called out Tennessee without calling them out. He, just kind of dropping that in his press conference. Yeah, Georgia State beat Tennessee 2 or however many years ago. And I forgot about it too. So clearly this is a team with some experience beating a program, I should say, not a team, a program, some experience, doing bigger things than people would expect them to do. I'm trying to pull up some of their stats on this app, on this it's not an iPad, but it's like a knockoff of it that I have here. And it's, as you can imagine, it is going extremely, extremely slow. So we'll see if that moves along, because I really want to get to some further stats for who you can watch for them in their game. But right now, all I've got is the prediction. I think the line right here is set at 27. differential for Auburn, so much different from the first 2 games. So I would stress this for you, the Auburn family. Don't go into this expecting this to be a blowout. Be pleasantly surprised if it is. But I do think that Georgia State is going to be able to, at some point, put up some points, especially if we experiment with a lot of the things that we've been discussing. Zone coverages, trying to figure that out, working on making sure man is good before that happens. Because what's going to happen is our opponents are going to anticipate us trying to not run zone and going to do things that exploit man. So we got to be able to switch back to that zone coverage. Let's see. Buddy of yours won a lot of money on the Georgia State UT game. I bet a lot of people, well, not a lot, but those who had the cojones to do that were really, probably made some money. Yes, we have 2 run zone sometimes, but if you do it all game, you will end up having someone go 28 for 32. You're just giving it to them, especially only rushing 3. Honestly, and I wonder if Auburn was in their old defensive system and under Kevin Steele and ran the zone, but they typically always rush 4, if maybe the 5th or the 6th person too. If this is a different story, it could have been just the perfect storm. Auburn's learning this 3-4 system or base system, and they're a little bit flexible in that. And then with the zone coverage on top of that, it probably just it was the perfect storm. They made a bad call. Coaches, everybody makes mistakes. It'll get fixed. Kyle, are you reading the stats from 30 years ago to make them look good? Or what are you referring to? Because I'm looking at, all I've said here is 197 yards total on the year for their quarterback passing, only 141 yards on the year for their running back. So if you're talking about me making Georgia State look good, you are reading different stats than me. I'm just trying to get to more players on this little thing, but it's having a hard time. We have the cheap things here, if you can't tell, but we'll see if that ends up working out or not. Rise, I see you got a lot of questions about kind of things. If you were going to probably stay more on the discussion point right now. Jaden asked, should we be concerned about JSU? Yes, you should always be concerned about your opponent. You should. To what degree is the question? It's like my favorite phrase. I'll admit that you should be this way or that way, or not this way or this way, but I'll say to what degree is the question. You should respect your opponent. You should understand that you have to come out there and show up and take care of your business. But at the same time, should you really be concerned about Georgia State? History says they've done it before. It is homecoming game, and they'd love nothing more to ruin it. So be careful. But I think we're fine. Autumn. So for those of you that know, who maybe some of you who've been followers of the podcast for the 7 years we've been doing this? Yeah, 7, 8, something like that. I think it's 8 this year. Usually in the background is Podcat. That's my cat. Her name is Lucy. Today's her birthday, so you can wish her a happy birthday virtually if you'd like. But she's not back there right now. She's with her mom. I think Rise Life Now is just trying to get a rise out of everybody here with that comment. Okay. Oh, yeah, I just saw you laughing, too, on that one. I really, really wish this Georgia State thing would come up because I really kind of want to. I trusted this little app thing on this thing, and it's not really working. So, unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to pull the stats up because it moves so slow. I posted the chat link again if you'd like to call in, if you'd like to say hello, or if you'd like to ask a question, make derogatory rebuttal. Don't be shy. Hit the link and call in as I fiddle around with this thing here in the background. All right, so we've talked about we need to obviously work on a few things: zone coverage, wide receiver. So what's the one thing that you want the wide receivers to work on against Georgia State? Because we can say nebulous things like they just need to work on Bo and them need to work on their timing, things like that. What is the area that the wide receivers need to work on? Is it as simple as just catching the ball? and holding on to it? Is it better routes? Is it, knowing where the ball is? But what's the one thing that you think that the wide receivers should work on? Might be getting to a better site here. That might give me something a little bit. Jaden asked, do we move up in the rankings if we beat Georgia State? Again, anytime you ask that question, I have to always caveat and say it depends on what happens even outside of us, because a victory over Georgia State in and of itself doesn't necessarily require you to move up, but you would think just by traditional, what's the word I'm looking for? Parity of college football. Someone's going to lose that shouldn't. There's very few weeks where there's not some movement, especially even in the back of the top 25. So yeah, I will say that we'll move up, but it'll be like a spot or two. If you're expecting us to move into the top 20, a lot's going to have to happen. I don't know that the matchups suggest that will happen. All right, we've got working on catching, route running for sure. Williams says they need to work on Nix. Williams, I don't know what you're getting at there, but I feel like you're being a little overly critical of Nix. But anyway, that's just my opinion. What do I know? Larry keeps posting like quick things, but I keep missing out on what it is. I think he's having typing issues. Georgia State is only averaging 15.7 points per game. So there you go. Here I've been saying that they're going to score some. But if you look at, and that would reflect in what their quarterback and their running back is doing. Again, my speculation on whether they score something or not could be simply, I'm just thinking because we're going to need to work some people in, figure some things out a little bit this week and try to really find out who wants to play and who's the best option where. All right. I think we're finally kind of getting back to where I wanted to be on this little thing. All right, here we go. This is more stats here. 15.7 points per game. Points allowed, 37 per game for Georgia State, which means they've allowed more. So when you look at this, just kind of, and for comparisons, Auburn scored 47.3 points per game average and then allowed 12.7. Obviously, that was much different before the Penn State game. So, I think it's feasible. This is not my official statement on my score prediction yet. It's reasonable to think that Auburn could get into the 40s pretty easily. I think it's also reasonable to say that Georgia State will probably not break double digits in scoring. Just looking at this, because 15 is what they've scored and Auburn's only allowed 12, and it took Penn State to really do that. So that might give you an idea, an early look at where I'm going with my prediction and where I kind of look at that. They need to learn where they are on the field. It's kind of important, right? Consistency. I like, Dusty, you and I are on the same wavelength a lot tonight. Consistency. We need to find a guy or two that we can count on close game in Baton Rouge. Who are we throwing on third down? Great way to phrase that. I agree with that completely. That's what Auburn, I think, is lacking in this wide receiver. It's yes, there are areas you can say work on route running, work on catching the ball actually before you run, where locating the ball. They need somebody to be that guy. Shed looked like he was going to be that guy in the first game. The second game, Demetrius looked like he was going to be that guy. In fact, maybe they could have been a nice duo, but both kind of disappointed in the last game. And it took the guy who ended up making the biggest mistake of the game in Kobe Hudson to be the guy. Honestly, at this point, the most reliable, the leader in consistency is John Samuel Schenker. And I can't believe I said it without messing up. And he's a tight end. Go figure. So there's that. Oh, you were saying timing, Larry. That's okay. I was wondering what you were trying to get in there. Let's see here. All right, we might have our first call. Oh, I know this guy. There he is. Ladies and gentlemen, in the house is my co-host. Inside the jungle, he wants to talk football. Gray, what is up?
How's it going?
Just trying to make sense of everything, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
It's okay. Well, here, it's your first time calling in. What? How? Give me. We're talking about Georgia State, but just how are you
Mhm.
feeling about after Penn State?
Yeah, look,
Your silence is the silence is deafening.
yeah. Hang on, give me 1 second. I'm getting an echo. Hang on.
Oh, sorry about that. It's my booming voice
you're
that
good.
gives you that
Hang
echo.
on. There we go. All right. The Penn State game that's a winnable football game. You go out to a top 10 team on the road in that tough environment, and you look, and it's such a winnable game like that. And I'm not saying like Penn State's a bad team, but like we should have won that football game.
Mhm.
And so right now it's kind of hard to judge where this team is at, especially in certain areas like the pass rush and like the wide receivers and like some of the play calling. But then again, you look at the positives. Like you've got probably the best tandem running backs in the country.
Yep.
You got a lockdown corner in Roger McCreary. Your linebackers are great. So you got to look at the positives and negatives of that game. You got to come out and you got to show why. You got to show that same team that looked like they could win that game at Penn State in this Georgia State game before you hit a absolute gauntlet.
Yeah. So are you saying like, are you going to be a little bit worried if we don't flip the switch back over and do what we did against Alabama State? Meaning like, I haven't thrown out my official score prediction yet, but let's just say it's like 45-10. Is that a win margin for you that says, okay, the team got back to what it's supposed to be doing, and I feel good about where they're at based off of that?
I think it just depends on how the game looks, how efficient and how clean the game is. I think you really need to have a really clean game, no matter who plays a lot, no matter how much we score, no matter if they score or not. I just think it matters like if we can be really efficient, especially offensively. And I'm not saying be balanced because we need to be a running team, but be balanced, relax, regroup, and go out and win a football game.
So how many passes do you want Bo to attempt in this game? And again, assume that he's only going to play the first half and maybe a series after the second.
See, in a top 10 game on the road as a junior with 2 years of starting experience, he threw 37 passes at Penn State. Mm-hmm. Probably a little too much, because you take in scenarios like that 4th and 2. It's like he should not have thrown the ball, and if he were to throw the ball, then I think he should have thrown it to Tank right out of the backfield. But you probably want to see him throw around 20.
Yeah, so, even in this game, the Georgia State game. I think
you need to see about 20, and then in later games, depending on how they go, I think you need to average between 25 and 30 for Bo.
I kind of like that. It's probably even a little bit high for me because I kind of feel like 22 to me seems like the sweet spot.
That's perfect. That's where you hit it.
Like that. Game, yeah. And that's what I'm saying is I feel like that gives him enough room to work in some deep balls and not too much. Mm-hmm. In fact, would you like to just see them air it out the entire time and just work on that timing and his accuracy on that?
No. No. I want to see these running backs in action.
Well, how about this? What if they come out against Georgia State first 2 drives is nothing but Hunt as one is Tank, one is Jarquez, and then maybe let's go 3. One is Sean, and we score 3 straight touchdowns. And let's say we have the whole second quarter. Do you just let Bo just go bomb it? I would at that point just say just work on it, man.
I would expect some shots, a lot, but I would expect more of the underneath passing game to come together because that's what we really didn't have that last Saturday. It was either intermediate passing, deep throws, or we're going to run the ball. I think you need to get a little short action. Like you said, John Samuel Shaker's been our best receiver. He needs to catch more of those little hitch routes, those little out routes. We need to use guys like Canyon and Capers, the bigger guys in the red zone. We need to use guys like Kobe and Cedric and Demetrius in the underneath, like drags and slants and stuff like that.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see them air it out, especially like second quarter.
Yeah. So here's the problem now too, is that I feel like, kind of like I set up earlier, you had in the first game, Shed was the guy. The second game, Demetrius was the guy. You had third game, Samuel Schenker. If you've noticed, each time those guys have been shut down in the subsequent games. So opponents are realizing there's one guy who they're able to rely on, and they'll take that one away, and it's forced someone else to rise to the occasion. Well, that's why we need not just one, but two, possibly. Yeah. And think about who we lost this year that's not here. Anthony Schwartz, Elijah Stove, and Seth Williams. If you got Anthony, covered and covered up, you got to worry about Seth's deep ball ability. You got to worry about Elijah over the middle, or even doing those little weird shuttle passes or whatever we did with him. The little things where we just got him in open space.
Yeah.
And that's what I think they're missing. So, like, in your mind, looking at 3 games worth of a body of work, who do you think ends up being that trio that we can rely on consistently? Is it those 3 that we've talked about, or is there someone that you think's probably going to rise up?
I think you expect to see a guy like Demetrius Robertson, who's got so much experience and is probably the most talented guy in that room currently. I think you see him rise to the occasion like he did against Alabama State, where he had the hat trick. But then you also see guys like Cedric, again, with a lot of experience. But you really want to see some of these young guys come along, and maybe it's somebody like Javarius Johnson, or if it's somebody like Tavares Dawson, who we haven't seen, or somebody like Elijah or Zevion or Kobe. But you want one or two of those guys to be able to be a guy that Bo can say, all right, I'm in trouble. Let's get him the ball.
Yeah. I think one of the more confounding things is, we went, at least for me personally, I came into the off season, or starting the season, being shocked that Tavares was being talked about so much, and yet we've yet to see him really. And there's been reasons for that. But then, everybody, even I did a video about my top, wide receivers, and the top 2 were Zevion Capers and Elijah Canyon.
Yeah.
Nowhere to be found. I mean, obviously here and there.
The field.
And it's just weird, it's weird. All the talent in the world, but there's someone
you got that play call on 4th and 2. Well, you threw a fade. Okay, I don't like the call, and I don't like how Bo went there immediately, but look who you went to. You went to a 6-foot wide receiver who played quarterback in high school.
Yeah.
When you have 2 6'4" wide receivers who played wide receiver in high school.
Yeah. But on the flip side, though, he was the only guy.
He was the only guy catching balls
outside of his big mistake, which he felt horrible about. He's the only guy that was reliable that game. And so it's just kind of like, I felt like we were in these situations the entire time where it's like, yeah, this sucks, but he's still the only option, So once we get some more options, and I think that comes with time, we'll have less of these frustrating situations.
Yeah.
But Gray, man, thanks for calling in, and thanks for hanging out with me. We'll talk soon about some basketball stuff.
Awesome. War Eagle.
All right, War Eagle Gray.
All
right, so that's Gray, and you will hear him and have heard him on Inside the Jungle, our Auburn basketball podcast. So stay tuned for that. Some stuff coming out, I'm sure, very soon for that. I posted it again, the call-in link, if you would like to call in. I want to get to some announcements and stuff for this weekend. I'm going to do that in a second, but my good friend Sports with Cord, I want to give him a shout out. By the way, he's got a YouTube channel as well. You need to go check that out. After watching the team against Penn State, I'm more confident that we can contend with Georgia and Alabama. Harsin have them ready. They need to run the ball more. Yeah, all fair statements. And I agree with you that I think the more I see, even after the discouraging Penn State game, and what I see from the rest of the SEC and college football, frankly, Auburn's not in a bad position even after a frustrating loss to Penn State across the board, not just SEC-wise, but nationally as well. Doesn't mean... Everybody listen to me. It doesn't mean we're going to win the national championship. I've been trying to tell you. Casey, are you listening to me? Imani, I'm calling you guys out. We're not winning the national championship this year, but we might do some pretty crazy things as well. We should run the score up to 80. Wow, no mercy, huh? No mercy. Harsin has shown that he is. Why did I close that? I wanted to look at some more things. He's very willing to remind the opponents of who's boss. So don't be shocked. I think Tank's going to try and break his Hunter's record. I didn't realize that was the record until they told us about it. So anyway, why would you go? Why would you subject yourself, Neil, to that? He went to a Bama site and said the weirdos over there were saying that Auburn didn't look bad. I think someone asked earlier, I forget who it was, said, why did we stay so high ranked? I think I cannot stress this up, and I'm not trying to be Pollyanna. This is based on facts and other people saying this. Auburn's in a much better place than people. I think some people are willing. Okay. I keep saying I need to talk about the things that are going this week, and I'm going to, but I'm getting on my soapbox for a minute. There's a lot of our fan base, some of them might be here right now, that really want to see Coach Malzahn fail and us succeed so they can feel validated. And I'm trying to be nice when I say this here. And the ferocity, I guess I should say, you saw with the reaction to the loss was because they got that small piece of what they wanted with Coach Malzahn losing against with UCF, and they couldn't get that win to completely validate how vicious they were. And I'm not saying that's anybody specifically here, but there is a correlation there, and I've seen it firsthand. So we've got to take a step back and stop worrying about Coach Malzahn. He's gone. I mean, we can bring him up and talk about him and stuff like, things that relate when we reference the old regime and stuff like that. But you've got to move on. Everybody. This is Coach Harson's team. This isn't Coach Malzahn's team anymore. His players are here. There's some effects of the way of what he recruited and stuff is still here. That's not an excuse anymore. So those of you that just want to see Gus fail to validate yourself, let it go. You wanted me to let it go when he was fired. It's time for you to let it go too. All right, I'm done. I'm sorry. I know I pissed some of you off, but hey, it had to be said. I don't know why that got me going there. I think using the tight ends, what we've been missing in the past, again, the last couple of years, I can see the difference. I don't know that I've seen a big enough difference to say that's what we were missing. I think simply John Samuel Shanker has been very reliable, and it's just been nice to have him there. Know thine enemy. That's why you're over there. I got you. SEC West up for grabs. Are you wrong? You're not wrong. It's not as up for grabs as you want, probably, though. The only team I'm concerned about other than Bama is the Hogs. I'm not super concerned about the Hogs, but I'm intrigued by them. I want to see a little bit more from them at this point. All right. A little bit more of the Georgia State stats for you to just kind of be aware of players to potentially see it. Well, if I can get to the players. I told you this thing tonight's acting up. Here is the schedule. It's 8:53. Wow, we gotta wrap. Well, not wrap up, but we gotta get going here. So, by the way, we've had tons of content this week here on the YouTube channel. All kinds of videos, all kinds of live streams. Hope you'll go check some of those out if you haven't done so already. Podcasts galore. We've had a football podcast once this week. We've had equestrian. Another football podcast drops tomorrow. So make sure you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever, but you can also find it here on YouTube. And then we'll have a special podcast with Clint Richardson where we're going to talk about 10 fun facts about Shook Jordan you may not know. Essentially, that's going to be a really cool thing. There's a tie into that we'll talk about during the podcast, so don't miss that as well. This weekend, I will be on campus. My goal is to, it's going to be a little bit different with the game being midday. Obviously, sharing as much as I can. Going to try to live stream our campus walkthrough leading down to Tiger Walk. I will try to live stream Tiger Walk again. I can't promise the connectivity because that was crazy last time, but I will also be recording it on another means, and I'll put it up for you guys later on when I have time to. I will be at the game, sharing some stuff, and a little bit after. I don't know if I'm staying through to Sunday. I would pay attention very close Friday, though, to our YouTube channel, to social media. You might be seeing some extra stuff from us you haven't seen yet. Stay tuned. I don't want to commit to anything just yet. Booster Club members, you will know before anybody else. I can tell you that much right there. So yeah, that's basically the thing for this week. There will be no, at least directly after, post-game reaction show, because I will be on campus unless somehow I swing something. But typically we only do those for away games because I usually don't go to the away games. So that's going to be the schedule for this week, and I hope that you'll stay tuned with stuff like that. I got into an argument with my mom how to pronounce the Shug last name. It's one of those timeless arguments there. They should add seats to the top of the video board. I'd pay a lot for it. It probably wouldn't be bad, but it'd be pretty freaky up there. All right, we got 5 minutes left. I haven't done my all right, time for score predictions. Right now, you post yours. We'll share it if you post it in the thing. Final predictions for the thing. Remember some of the things we talked about. Again, they are scoring 15 points per game. We're only allowing 12. So if you kind of average those out, it would say that maybe they can probably score in the 13, 14 range. I don't think it's going to be that much, though. I do think they'll score, though. Auburn scoring 47.3 points per game, and they are allowing 37 points per game. So it's easy to think that they'd get in the 40. I'm going to go out on a limb here. Not a limb. Educated guess. And I'm going to say 49, 7 straight touchdowns. No field goals needed in this game. Not straight, but 7 touchdowns. I'm going to say 49-9. Auburn wins, and Georgia State gets down the field to score some field goals on errant throws and stuff like that. Things working out. But I'm going to say 49-9 feels like a pretty solid score for me. In fact, actually, I'm going to bump that up a little bit. 52-9. 52-9 feels a little bit better for me. So 52-9. We'll see if I'm right. Let's see what you all are saying here. 85-6. Wow. Matt says, "Are you scared of Mike G? Are you talking about Mike G on War Report? Why would I be scared of Mike G? I don't know." If that's who you're referring to, but I tell you guys, War Report goes on after me, so go over there and check them out. If y'all, I think they're pretty cool. So if that's what you're talking about, I don't know. Anyway, 52-10. John Stokes, again, thank you for supporting the channel. This is the year. It could be that this is the year. Took a little bit of a hit though in this game. 80-3. What was share your prediction again? You have to post it again because I forgot. 65-10. Dusty with a little bit more conservative, 38-17. We've made some points where it could fall out that way today, but I doubt it. 91 to most of y'all are just having fun at this point. She even said that. Let's see here. 62-6, 35-13, a little bit more conservative. Shutout. Ooh, Larry, I don't know if I can post that number. I can't as my Jesus loving heart can't post that number, even though it's not the complete number. I remember when Mississippi State scored over 80 on Florida. When was that? I forgot about that. I know Larry's messing me up. I can't do it. Jesus would not be happy with me on that one. And I mean that with sincerity. All right. So there, I'm going to sit at 52-9. I think is a thing. And as Sports Record said, 62-10. Think we can't come out real sluggish. I could see where that would probably happen, Dusty. Oh, Neil, no, don't bring that up. Don't bring that up. We can't deal with that right now. All right, a couple more stats for you to keep in mind for the rest for the game. They are total yards, 290 yards per game, passing 119 and rushing 171. So they're going to definitely run the ball more, which we've been pretty good at stopping. So that might hurt them a little bit. Again, yards allowed 413, and we typically score 506. So probably going to get 500 yards this game. Usually allowing 220 pass yards. Could be good for Bo and the wide receivers, but it's basically the same 192 for rushing yards. All right. I didn't get to talk about their players as much because I couldn't bring that up, but hey, there it is. Ground floor got in late, buddy, unless you were just there in the background. But good to see you. E-Money's here too. God, everybody's here. All the people that started hanging out here when we first started this thing have showed up tonight. Good to see all of you guys. But thank you so much. All right, if you're heading on over to Warpoor, if that's what you're talking about, I'm not afraid of Mike G. I think he's a cool dude. That was weird. Tell them E2C says hello and War Eagle, and hope they have a great show as well. And guys, it is going to be good game. We didn't even get to talk about like homecoming aspects and stuff like that, but it's going to be if you can come to Auburn, be there. I want to see some of y'all there on campus. Please do. It's going to be great weather, great football game, great atmosphere. I'm so excited for this weekend. And it's not even an SEC game or a Penn State game or something like that. It's always a great day to be a Tiger, and it's always a great day and weekend to be on campus. Or Dustbuster. We still got another hour. Guys, I got only so much in my tank. Listen, I know y'all want those 2-hour shows, and maybe someday we'll do those. Y'all keep showing up. Keep being supporters, whether that's you just hitting the like button, becoming a channel supporter by hitting that join button or anything like that. And you never know, you might your requests might be granted. But anyway, thank you guys so much, War Eagle, and stay tuned this weekend for lots of great content coming from us here on the network, whether it be YouTube, social media. Let's go beat Georgia State.